vengeance.
Well, DC's world is going through some major changes, and there's a whole lot of movies and TV shows planned in the universe in the years ahead. Supergirl has already hit theaters, and Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian called it a sprightly and sparkling superhero yarn without the usual baffling DC backstory. Okay, I am booking my tickets. But wait, James Gunn and Peter Safran, co-CEOs of DC Studios, have a lot more surprises planned for us because their strategy is to build a more interconnected and cohesive lineup of content. However, with new updates every now and then, sometimes it gets difficult trying to keep track of all the revamping DC is going through. It all started back in 2023 when Gunn and Safran revealed their plan for Chapter 1, which would focus on the gods and monsters of the DCU. Right then, we knew how ambitious these two were because we were promised an equal amount of Superman, Batman, along with some lesser-known characters. Safran also stated, "Our production goal is 2 live-action films and 1 animated film per year, and we're also targeting 2 live-action and 2 animated series for Max per year." And with Superman being the first film of this new DC, we surely have a lot more to look forward to. But hey, don't worry, that's where I come in today, to list down all the upcoming new projects DC is currently working on. Absolute Batman. Sometimes I feel like DC is pampering Batman as their only child. But hey, we Batman fans are not complaining because the latest announcement was a gift none of us were expecting. The comic series, written by Scott Snyder and illustrated by Nick Dragotta, began its run on October 9, 2024 and started blowing our minds. The comic series has sold over 6 million copies with the first volume on its 11th print run. It depicts an alternate universe of the Caped Crusader, where Bruce Wayne is 24 years old, a blue-collar civil engineer by the day and a vigilante by night, while Joker is the reimagined billionaire. Ever since the first issue, the comic has been challenging our imagination, and the latest issue, which dropped on June 16th, saw Joker employing twisted villains with judges against Batman, and turned them into a paramilitary force, the Robins. Their job? To take Batman down at all costs. It's barely been 10 days since we read this issue when DC Studios and Warner Brothers Animation announced at Annecy that a series adaptation of the wildest Batman comic of all time was in development. This will be an animated show, and the writer, Scott Snyder, will be serving as executive producer and showrunner, while artist Dragotta will also be the producer on the new animated show. Sam Register, president of Warner Brothers Animated, stated, "We could not be more excited about this. We are in very early stages of development on this with executive producer and writer Scott Snyder and the artist Nick Dragotta." Register and Safran, along with the Executive Vice President of Alternative Programming at Warner Brothers Animation, Peter Girardi, unveiled the new adult animated series project, and one look at this, we were sold. Joker, Laugh Riot. Yet another addition to DC's adult animation gallery will be Joker, Laugh Riot. And you know what's the best part? They are finally trying to bring in anime in this universe, and I cannot express how happy I am about it. Register gave us an insight that this will be their first anime series, and that they are producing this in Japan. Award-winning director of Chao, Yasuhiro Aoki, who previously worked with Warner Brothers on Lord of the Rings. The War of Rohirrim would lead this project, and according to him, this is an original story that is very spooky and very dark. We've just begun production, and we're very excited to be doing our very first anime series out of Japan. The log line for Laugh Riot reads as, "When Batman is murdered, the Joker launches a ruthless crusade through Gotham's underworld to find the killer who took away his greatest adversary. But as his violent quest for answers pushes him closer towards the vigilante than villain, Joker is forced to confront the truth that without Batman, he doesn't know who he is." And Register has assured us that the show, which will be full CG, will also introduce a very different rendition of Batman. The show will be executive produced by Jim Krieg with DC Studios and Warner Brothers Animation, teaming up with Sola Entertainment to bring Joker, Laugh Riot to fans worldwide. Krypto. I am so freaking happy that Safran said, "I'm not just an admirer of animation. I really see the incredible storytelling power of the art form, because we are getting an animated show on one of the most famous pets in the superhero world, Krypto." Safran continued telling audiences at Annecy that it's extraordinarily important. We've talked a little bit about some of these titles we're going to talk about individually, but to be able to be here and for the first time reveal the true extent of what we're doing, of together bringing the greatest of the DC heroes and villains, telling their stories in a broad, diverse range of genres, styles, scales, tones, with stories for audiences of all ages. This one will be a kid-focused project on the Superdog and is currently untitled, but I can vouch I will be that 30-year-old kid sitting before the TV the moment the little white furball appears. Safran also said that Krypto is really one of my favorite characters in the DC canon, and we are thrilled he is finally getting his own show. We're in early stages of this wonderful show with C.H. Greenblatt. It's funny, it's full of heart, and because it's Krypto, it's thoroughly chaotic. The series will see Krypto tagging along with a group of misfit criminal wannabes who live down the block, and as he follows them into misadventures, his pure heart slowly ends up redeeming them. Aww. Greenblatt is known for his work on Chowder and Jellystone, and I am sure he will do a great job at giving us an adorable Krypto. God, I loved Chowder. Clayface. DC is stepping into a full horror zone with Clayface, and honestly, this was not on my 2026 bingo. Horror legend Mike Flanagan has written the script for this movie, and he actually wanted to make a Clayface movie as a horror thriller, but due to his previous TV commitments, DC got Speak No Evil's James Watkins as the director. The movie will be focusing more on the original narrative behind the rise of Clayface, a Hollywood actor variation of the antagonist, Matt Hagen, who turned into a clay-like monster. When the teaser trailer for Clayface dropped in April 2026, we saw Tom Rhys-Harries going through scary bodily changes like his skin melting off his face and his body, literally becoming one with the bathtub after being attacked. Going by what we saw, it's possible that the movie will address some gruesome and questionable medical procedures that went behind Clayface's origin. Gunn said, "Clayface is pure effing horror. So real and true, and psychological, and body horror, and gross." Considering Clayface is set to debut as one of the major villains in the Batman Part 2, and that it is being produced by Matt Reeves and Lynn Harris's 6th and Idaho Productions, we assumed that this movie would be set in Reeves's The Batman universe rather than the DCU. However, Gunn assured us that it's the first DCU film out of chronological order. Man of Tomorrow. Soon after the colossal success of Gunn's 2025 Superman, he took to X to announce a sequel to his box office hit, Man of Tomorrow. Gunn's post was followed by the Superman actor David Cornsweet with this image, and Nicholas Hoult, who played Lex Luthor, too hopped on the social media sharing trend. That means we are definitely getting these two to reprise their roles. James Gunn has, however, kept further plot details of the movie under wraps, but thanks to Peacemaker Season 2 ending, we have a few clues. We saw an imprisoned Luthor was backing Flag Sr.'s anti-metahuman goals, which made him an even bigger power player after Superman. Moreover, Gunn explained that the cliffhanger ending was not meant to be sold in Season 3. Rather, this is about the wider DCU and other stories in which this will play out right now. So that doesn't mean that there won't be a Peacemaker Season 3. Never say never, but right now, no, this is about the future of the DCU, and Peacemaker is an important character. When asked whether Peacemaker will appear in DC films like Supergirl or Man of Tomorrow, Gunn teased, "Well, we'll have to see. That's a secret." Also, we got a first look at Lex the sequel, and now we know that the duo will team up against a new enemy, and the follow-up is set to introduce DC Comics' super-intelligent android Brainiac, played by Lars Eidinger, and Lex and Superman are likely to team up as uneasy allies against him. In December 2025, Gunn posted this: Brainiac's involvement can be further confirmed because Gunn wrote on X, "Brainiac is what happens when intelligence loses all connection to humanity, and Superman is as human as anyone, so I get why they have beef." Brainiac made his comic debut on this day in Action Comics number 242. However, Gunn has clarified that Man of Tomorrow won't be a sequel in the traditional sense and will be more of a Superman family project. But now it seems like the movie is getting closer to being a true sequel than Gunn suggested. I am guessing we will catch some more glimpses of it when Supergirl and Clayface releases. The Batman 2. Yes, The Batman 2 is finally in works, with Matt Reeves returning as the writer-director and Robert Pattinson wearing the cape, cowl, and eyeliner once again as the Dark Knight detective. However, we don't have any more details on the plot or cast beyond this, and according to Hollywood Reporter, Reeves is meeting with different directors and writers to explain the Rogues Gallery, with fan speculation. Clayface, Scarecrow, and Professor Pig being on that list. Pattinson stated, "I know what it's about now. Matt Reeves is a very careful writer, but I finally now know what it's about. It's very cool and I'm very excited." Reeves has confirmed that Colin Farrell's Penguin will be a part of this movie and in fact will be the entry point into the Batman 2, and added, "There are details that actually connect right into the way the next movie begins and the way that Oz enters that world as we hand the baton back to Batman and Batman is on another case." However, both Gunn and Reeves have confirmed that Pattinson's Batman will remain in its own separate universe, which is now being called the DC Elseworld. When Gunn and Safran revealed the movie's initial release date in January 2023, they confirmed that it would be completed with a third to make the planned trilogy. Unfortunately, with the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strike, development slowed down. But Safran and Gunn assured, Matt is working on Batman 2, which he thinks of as a Batman crime saga, which also includes the Penguin TV series. The troubles, however, caused the movie to be delayed by 1 year, but in February 2025, Safran mentioned, "James and I, we love Matt Reeves' vision for the Batman Part 2, and we're looking forward to this film as much as you are. He hasn't yet turned in a script, but what we've read so far is very encouraging." But Reeves has told us clearly that the movie will be delving deeper into corruption and that it goes into places that he couldn't anticipate in the first one. The seeds of where this goes are all in the first movie. It expands in a way that will show you aspects of the character you never got to see. The Authority. Yet another upcoming movie from the DC studios is The Authority, which is set to bring the Wildstorm characters to life in the DCU. According to the official synopsis, they'll be taking matters into their own hands to do what they believe is right. The project was announced in 2023, but Gunn has revealed last year, honestly, Authority's been the one that's been the hardest, both because of the shifting overall story and because of getting it right in a world with the boys and a world with all the things that the Authority influenced that came out after it. The Authority is a group of superpowered people previously employed by a shadowy government agency, and Gunn clarified that since the movie is a little bit more on the back burner right now. Interestingly, a member of the team, the engineer, played by Maria Gabriela de Faria, was seen walking across the top of Luthor Corps building in Superman in a real blink and you'll miss it moment. At first it might seem a little hard to see the character, but zoom in a little and you'll see the engineer in fuzzy detail. It's probable that Gabriella will continue the engineer's role in the Authority, but James Gunn told fans that he is waiting for a complete and approved script before going into casting. Recently, Gunn also talked about a project that has been canceled, and I really hope it's not Authority. Teen Titans. Personally, I have been a fan of Teen Titans after reading the comics, but if there's any adaptation that's closest to my heart outside of the comics, it's the new Teen Titans created by Marv Wolfman and George Perez, and Teen Titans Go. It has been a long-running animated show on Cartoon Network. These shows and their predecessor, Teen Titans of 2003, focus on Robin, Starfire, Raven, Beast Boy, and Cyborg as their main members, and now Teen Titans is all ready to get a big-screen movie from DC Studios. According to The Hollywood Reporter, the film is being written by Ana Noguera, but we have no clue as to who will star or what version of the team will be depicted. In one way, that leaves room open for anyone from the original 60s Fab Five of Robin, Kid Flash, Wonder Girl, Aqualad, and Speedy, to their 80s new Teen Titans incarnation in which Robin evolved into Nightwing, and characters like Beast Boy, Cyborg, Raven, and Starfire become team anchors. Unfortunately, Gunn took to threads to say, it doesn't exist. She's been on WW for a while. Well, we are still hopeful. The Brave and the Bold. I can't explain how freaking excited I was when I heard that DC is gearing up to give us The Brave and the Bold, because for the first time we are getting a live-action movie on Batman and his son Damian Wayne as Robin. Andy Muschietti is set to direct it, and the story is apparently based on writer Grant Morrison's Batman and Batman Incorporated stories. Gunn explained that assassin murderer who Batman takes on, who is Batman's actual son that he doesn't know exists for the first 8 to 10 years of his life. It's a strange father and son story about the two of them and based on Grant Morrison's run of the Batman. Now, though we have no further details on it, we can guess that this particular Batman feature won't be part of Pattinson's world. The movie will also portray some other members of the Bat family, like Damian's mother, Talia al Ghul, and in 2023, Gunn teased that they might have found a writer for the film. In February 2015, Gunn claimed, "I'm working very closely with the writer on Brave and the Bold." And a couple months later, in July, he reiterated that the film will be fast-tracked once the script comes in, and they will take it first to Muschietti to see if it can be filmed. Since then, he has also hinted at several big-name actors interested in playing his Batman, and to quote him, "We've talked about literally every permutation on the way to come into this job. In terms of how were we going to handle it, what actors were going to continue over, and what were we going to merge. We've talked about everything. Have we talked about actor Grant Gustin from the long-running CW series The Flash? Yeah. Have we ever talked about Robert Pattinson? Yeah. We've talked about all those things, but serious conversations? No." Wonder Woman. Well, Gal Gadot has been a dream as Diana, but DC's new Wonder Woman project seems to be rebooting the franchise with a new lead actress, and will be separate from the formerly announced Paradise Lost series, which according to the co-CEO was slow-moving. Gunn did not add anything more about who could be our new Wonder Woman, but he did tell Entertainment Weekly that, "We're working on Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's being written right now." Later, Gunn confirmed that Ana Nogueira is writing the screenplay for Wonder Woman, which is now a Chapter 1 priority. See, Wonder Woman is going to be a crucial development point for the DC Universe because establishing the third member in the DC Trinity alongside Superman and Batman is extremely important before they can move on to Justice League. So let's just hope whatever Gunn and Safran have in mind, it works out. Dynamic Duo. Yay, we have an animated film on the DC roster. Dynamic Duo, which tells the origin stories of two Robins, namely Dick Grayson and Jason Todd, will be directed by Arthur Mintz, based on a script by Scott Neustadter, Michael H. Weber, and Matthew Aldrich. Mintz is making the picture with his new animation studio called Swaybox and will be using a cocktail of animation, CG, puppetry, stop motion, and live-action performance. The script is being written by Coco's Matthew Aldrich, while Matt Reeves' production company 6th and Idaho is producing it. Revealed at this year's Annecy Festival, Dynamic Duo will be a change to the DC Comics lore, and while Grayson will end up joining Batman, Jason becomes a part of the Red Hood gang. In comics, however, the former was a circus acrobat adopted by Batman after his parents died, and the latter was introduced as a street kid orphan turned Robin who surfaced years later as the Red Hood. I am definitely intrigued to see how Dynamic Duo follows the new path, but as far as continuity is concerned, Gunn has assured that it will be a standalone narrative, so there's nothing to worry about there. Matt Reeves will serve as a producer along with Gunn and Safran, and the film is eyeing a release on 30th June 2028. The film is being posed as a gateway into Gotham for younger audiences and families, so expect some goofy animated fun here. The movie, however, will depart from established comic lore and portray Dick and Jason as childhood buddies whose paths split when a huge change occurs in their lives. Safran said in the 2025 press conference, "We're also in pre-production on Dynamic Duo, which is a coming-of-age crowd-pleaser. But if you think about it, Dynamic Duo doesn't really fit in the DCU. However, the change in the character's history suggests that this movie will be taking place outside Reeves' Batman world and might act as a launchpad for a third Batman. Or it might just be set in its own reality. Moreover, the film might have an impact on the Teen Titans, too." Swamp Thing. Gunn and Safran announced a new movie on the Swamp Monster in DC, and though there's only limited information on it right now, we know it will focus on the origins of the mysterious DC character. Moreover, we can expect a darker tone in this movie, since the Indiana Jones 5 director James Mangold has told MovieWeb, "While I'm sure DC views Swamp Thing as a franchise, I would be viewing it as a very simple, clean, gothic horror movie about this man/monster. I'm just doing my own thing with this, just a standalone." Swamp Thing is ready to be a Chapter 1 project and has been described as an investigation into the character's dark origins in a Warner Brothers press release, but Gunn stated, "But then there's other things like Swamp Thing that was always kind of outside of the rest of the stuff," further confirming its standalone status. To give you a little more context about the grim origins, we are talking about Alec Holland's monstrous alter ego. However, the co-CEOs of DC said that Mangold was preoccupied with his Bob Dylan movie, A Complete Unknown, and assured, "We hope that he'll come back to Swamp Thing when he's ready, because again, that was one of those ones that we love him as a filmmaker, so we're happy to wait for him." As of February 2026, Gunn shared a story on the cover of the first volume of Alan Moore's Saga of the Swamp Thing, and it has fueled speculations that Swamp Thing might be moving faster than we thought. Untitled Bane and Deathstroke project. Thanks to Hollywood Reporter, we have news of another untitled movie on Bane and Deathstroke from DC. Apparently, the film script is being penned by Matthew Orton, known for his work on Captain America: Brave New World. However, we are not sure if the movie is going to be a part of Gunn's DCU or be set in its own reality. Moreover, no director or actors have been attached to the project as of yet, but Gunn said in an interview in February 2025 that Orton was working on a reported Bane Deathstroke project, but both he and Safran declined to confirm if the characters are the actual focus of the project. Sergeant Rock. Back in November 2024, Deadline gave us a huge breakthrough on Sergeant Rock. The director of Queer, Luca Guadagnino, was apparently attached to bring DC's Sergeant Rock to the screen, a project which has been stuck in developmental hell for years. Moreover, the report also stated that Luca would be teaming up again with his Queer star, Daniel Craig, for this movie. For those of you unfamiliar with Sergeant Rock, the character was created in 1959 by Robert Kanigher and Joe Kubert, and it was a staple of DC's war comics. Though nothing was made official, rumors about a script being prepared by Queer's Justin Kuritzkis also surfaced, but in February 2025, Gunn and Safran seemed to be evasive about the project and indicated that Craig was never even attached to the project. Then in March, Colin Farrell emerged as a potential star, but the film went dead after that. However, finally, Gunn and Safran have acknowledged that the project was indeed in development, with Luca possibly directing it. In early 2025, Safran assured, "What we love about Sergeant Rock is the opportunity to tell the story about heroism and conflict in a compelling and unique way. Justin really wrote a wonderful screenplay, and that's what catapulted the project to the forefront."
Then go and get it, Jon Stewart.
Lanterns. Coming to TV shows, DC is gearing up to give us an amazing lineup, and first up we have Lanterns, which is premiering this year. We have got some great teaser trailers on the true detective-style take on Green Lantern, and we know that the show will be focusing on Hal Jordan monitoring a younger Lantern, John Stewart, and investigating an earthly murder which obviously has larger implications. Moreover, Safran has stated that the show plays a really big role leading us into the main story that we're telling across our film and television. Blue Beetle spinoff. Initially, we thought that Blue Beetle would stay within the bounds of the old DCEU, but the new timeline seems to be bringing back the superhero in a new animated series. The show is reportedly set to be a continuation of the 2023 film, and kind of encourages viewers to watch DC movies in chronological order again. As of now, the show is in active development, and last year Safran confirmed that people are working on the show, and executive producers Gareth Dunnet Alcocer and Angel Manuel Soto are expected to present the project pretty soon. Mariduena, who won the Saturn Award for Best Young Performer in a television series for Cobra Kai, told The Direct that he is ready to return in Gunn and Safran's new DC universe and stated, "Hey man, arrest me." Laughs. "I'm ready to come back. We're hitting hard this animated project, hoping to get this settled out this year to show everyone next year." Waller. Originally, Waller was slated to arrive before Peacemaker Season 2, but the Hollywood strikes messed up and DC Studios had to reschedule their project's releases. Waller, which is expected to be a Peacemaker spin-off, will see Viola Davis reprising her role as Amanda Waller, and several Peacemaker cast members are also expected to return. The show's release date is still unknown, but it is being produced by Doom Patrol creator Jeremy Carver. Story-wise, it's expected to pick up right after the fallout from Peacemaker Season 1, where Leota Adebayo publicly exposed Waller's involvement with Task Force X. Gunn initially called it the greatest ever, but later admitted that the series had a couple of setbacks, and Safran said in February 2025, "We've taken a couple of cracks at it, but still haven't been able to land it." He continued, "Waller has been a bumpy road." Earlier this year, HBO Max chief Casey Bloys said, "Put it this way, I wouldn't say it's on the runway, but Lanterns is coming up this summer." But Gunn assured, "Waller's not been the fastest, but I can't wait to see Viola put on their Waller pants again." Booster Gold and DC's Superpowers. DC's lovable and goofy superhero Booster Gold is finally getting a series of his own. Now, many may not be familiar with this fame-seeking former footballer from the 25th century who can travel to the past with stolen future technology and a museum security robot called Skeets. But I guess we all remember that he showed up in Smallville and Legends of Tomorrow, right? Anyway, the DC series is reportedly ready to explore the character. Michael John Carter's imposter syndrome when he travels back in time and makes himself a present-day superhero. I am guessing this show too will lean towards comedy, and while announcing new projects, Safran said, "We love Booster Gold. There was a particular showrunner creator we were waiting on who expressed interest. We waited a really long time. Ultimately, he fell out of love. We pivoted. It's still one that's important to us. It's moving forward with somebody else." DC Superpowers is another animated series set at the Alliance School for Heroes, where a new generation of young superheroes train to become DC's next protectors. The show follows Lightning, Flash, Plastic Man, Aquagirl, Green Lantern, and Terra as they learn to master their abilities under the guidance of Principal Martian Manhunter. Matt Beans serves as executive producer, while Michael Chang is on board as supervising producer. My Adventures with Green Lantern, Starfire, Paradise Lost. My Adventures with Green Lantern is going to follow the life of a teenager, Jessica Cruz, after a Green Lantern power ring falls from the sky and chooses her to be its new owner. But when has a new superhero found powers the easy way? Jessica too will be burdened with some baggage as debris from the Lanterns War also reaches Earth, and there are some alien enemies on the table too. The series is being produced by Jake Wyatt as the executive producer, with Stephanie Gonzaga as co-executive producer. We don't have a release date as of now, but don't worry, we'll keep you updated when new information drops. And for that, don't forget to hit the bell icon. Moana famed Auli'i Cravalho will be voicing Jessica Cruz, and in an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Wyatt said, "Casting brought us a lot of fantastic reads for Jessica, but when I heard Auli'i, there was this complexity of emotion to her read, a natural, almost oblivious charm that she brought to Jess, and I knew she was the one." Starfire. Starfire is another animated show waiting in line at DC Studios, and I am sure all of you have recognized who she is. Yep, Starfire is one of the Teen Titans, and the show will focus on her origin and follow her adventures after she discovers a spaceship on her home planet, Tamarin, which she then uses to explore the star. According to DC's logline, on her adventure across the galaxy, she meets space biker Crush, plant-loving Fern, and the magical Princess Amethyst of Gemworld, and together they will uncover the deepest reaches of the DC universe, save space dolphins, surf Technicolor nebulas, and boldly soar into the unknown. Josie Campbell and Brianne Droward will be executive producers and co-executive producing this show respectively. Coming to Paradise Lost will be exploring Themyscira generations before Diana Prince and Safran stated back in 2023 that this would be a Game of Thrones-ish story about the political intrigue behind a society of all women. Gunn added, "How did that come about? What's the origin of an island of all women? What are the beautiful truths and the ugly truths behind all of that? And what's the scheming like between the different power players in that society?" Though the series was slow-moving, as of 2 weeks ago, we have some fresh news that Paradise Lost is indeed in active development, and Kira Snyder, known for The Handmaid's Tale, The 100, along with the Bridgerton-famed Janet Lynn, have joined the project. V for Vendetta. In November last year, comic fans got excited news when Variety reported that Pete Jackson, who wrote the British series Somewhere Boy, is ready to adapt the comic series V for Vendetta for television. It was originally written by Alan Moore and continued from 1982 to 1989 as a part of the British comics anthology Warrior. The comics follow a revolutionary hidden behind a Guy Fawkes mask who undertakes an ongoing mission to bring down a fascist regime that has cropped up in a dystopian British setting. He joins forces with a young woman named Evie Hammond after rescuing her from the secret police, and eventually she adapts his philosophy and goals. As of now, we know that James Gunn and Peter Safran will be serving as executive producers. Seems like it's a good time to rewatch the 2005 movie, DC Crime. This fictional true crime series is yet another potential HBO, which according to Variety is in early development. The site reported in November last year that the show would be presented as a true crime docuseries that would be hosted by Jimmy Olsen, Skylar Gisondo. The first season would focus on Gorilla Grodd, a DC villain best known for his battles with the Flash. DC Studios has apparently brought in Dan Perrault and Tony Yacenda as writers, showrunners, and executive producers for the series, while Gunn and Safran would also be executive producing it along with DC's Galen Weisman overseeing production. Just last week, while talking to Brazilian content creator Good Nerd, Safran spilled, "We've talked about the Gorilla Grodd show for HBO that will start shooting this year." That's big news, by the way. I probably shouldn't have said that. We can do the maths. Constantine 2. Yes, Keanu Reeves is ready to reprise his role as John Constantine after decades, and we can't keep calm. However, the film has been developing very slowly, and at first in September 2022, it was revealed that the actor will reunite with director Francis Lawrence, who helmed the first Constantine back in 2005. Akiva Goldsman will apparently write the script, and Lawrence claimed that he will shoot for an R rating. He said in an interview with The Wrap, "The idea is this time, at least for me, is to really go at it and make a real R-rated Constantine, which is, I think, what people always wanted originally." Though the project got delayed by strikes, Keanu and Lawrence have given us hope that the film will work out, and finally, in 2025, Gunn opened his mouth about Constantine 2. See, the film is likely to take place in the DC Elseworlds category of the new universe, which also serves as the home for Matt Reeves' The Batman. And though Gunn is not directly invested in it, he does have a role to play. He revealed in an interview with Collider, "I've discussed it on and off. I've discussed it with Keanu. I think that it's a great group of guys. I like all those people a lot. I think they're talented. But I have not read any script yet." But Reeves affirmed, "Fingers crossed. Another draft of the script came in. We're waiting. We're going to take it to the studio, and hopefully they like it too." But we know DC Studios' practice of not greenlighting a movie unless they are happy with the screenplay, which means we might have to wait a little longer before Constantine 2 goes on the floor.
Gotham City needs Batman.
Batman Nightfall. Holy crap! No one expected DC to drop the trailer for their first movie in the Nightfall trilogy, but they surprised us, and how. The animated movie saga will be adapting one of Batman's most iconic comic arcs, and is set to be directed by Jeff Wamster, and has been adapted for the screen by Jeremy Adams. We will be getting Bane in all his evil glory, and of course, Nightwing, Tim Drake's Robin, and Azrael. The movie has also roped in an amazing voice cast with Anson Mount as Batman, Michael Mando as Bane, and Pablo Schreiber as Azrael. When the executive VP of Warner Brothers Animation announced the movie, he said, "You all know this is a very important story in the Batman mythology. It is so big, and it was so consequential to the Batman story that it takes place over 3 films. So this is a trilogy of films, all animated. The trailer is definitely promising, and we can't wait to see the full result." Oh, also, we have a news video on details you might have missed in the Batman Nightfall trailer. Feel free to check it out. New Rocksteady Batman game. Oh yes, we have some major games dropping too. And the first one is an absolute banger. The famous UK-based developer Rocksteady Studios, known for Batman Arkham Asylum 2009, Batman Arkham City 2011, and Batman Arkham Knight 2015 is said to be returning to Batman for its next project. A report from Bloomberg last year said Rocksteady is looking to return to Batman for a single-player game. However, the game is still years away, but we have information that it's set in the Batman Beyond universe, and if we are to believe rumors, it is being developed based on Unreal Engine 5. Another one, Batman DCU prequel, where Rocksteady is reportedly trying to reimagine The Dark Knight, is also in development, and James Gunn is directly working together on the narrative to make sure the story matches with upcoming films and television series. With production currently in the earliest stages of design, the game is unlikely to arrive before 2028 or 2029. Injustice 3 and The Wolf Among Us 2. The DC game Injustice 3 is reportedly making a comeback almost a decade after the release of Injustice 2. It is apparently being developed by NetherRealm Studios, but the narrative it will follow is still unknown. The voice actor for Aquaman and Green Lantern, Phil Lamar, recently spilled at a convention that Injustice 3 is in the works. Yes! Though The Wolf Among Us is not exactly a capes and tights adventure game, it still has its origin in the comics. Now, the game was announced back in 2017 and went through a whole lot of developmental trouble after that, but the recent news is that Telltale Games has confirmed The Wolf Among Us 2 is still being developed actively. As of last year, Gunn confirmed DC's status on the gaming front and said, "We have a couple of little DC games coming out, but we also have talked about, and in early stages of planning, some bigger things. One thing in particular I'm excited about, but it does take time." Safran added, "James and I sit with literally the guys that run the studios, whether it's NetherRealm or whether it's Rocksteady. Sit with them and talk about characters and stories that we're interested in and that they're interested in. Maybe it will take time, but the wait will be worth it." Alright guys, that's all for today. Apart from these, several new seasons of DC shows are coming out, like Batman Caped Crusader and My Adventures with Superman. Seems like DC will not be giving us enough time to breathe before hitting us with one major project after the other, and superhero fans wouldn't have wanted it any other way. Do let us know about the new upcoming project you're most hyped about, and if you liked this video, don't forget to share it with your friends. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!